My name is Rula David. I'm the owner of Spotlight. I'm really grateful for all of you guys to be here. This was a conversation that we stated on our social media that we wanted to have in the fall. It's taken us a minute to find the right panel, but they're here. And our friend, our collaborator, our partner, Crystal Gauss is going to be here. She's going to be moderating this talk, and she's going to be leading this conversation. I'm going to pass this off to Crystal, but I just wanted to really thank you guys for being a part of this. The end goal is to walk away with an actionable plan. So we're going to be taking notes. We're going to post this on our website. It's going to be something that we can share and something that other spaces, other parties, other venues can use if they want to. If you don't, you want to make your own and you collect information from this that you like, you can make your own. But at the end of the day, this is for all of us to have a really open and safe conversation. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Rila. I really appreciate that. And thank you so much for loaning us the space tonight. Can everybody hear me? Okay, cool. My name is Crystal. Sometimes I go by Crystal Gauss, sometimes by Crystal Mioner, sometimes by DJ Etta, depends on when you met me. And I wanted to thank everybody for coming tonight and just remind everyone over near that pillar, we have a sign-in sheet. If you want updates after this meeting, I suggest you sign up there. And hopefully by next Tuesday, we'll be able to send the recording for tonight out. And then also some other things that we're hoping to strategize around tonight. So yeah, thank you again so much for coming. And I think I really want to preface tonight by honoring kind of a number of allegations in conflict that has arisen over the past week within the Detroit dance community. And I want to personally hold space for anyone who might be dealing with any trauma or just like feelings around that. And then also state that this meeting has been planned for some time. We've been trying to get the date on it. And we, for the most part, are not properly equipped to talk about issues of sexual assault. But I want to point you to another resource that has emerged over the past week called Interspace Detroit. Is that you? Oh, can I, okay, cool. I'll give you a couple of minutes.
Sure, thank you so much actually for saying that.
Oh, no problem.
Can I
grab the mic off the stands? You can pull it out.
Wiggle it out.
There we go. Hi, everybody. I definitely did not have anything prepared, really. But thank you guys so much. Thank you so much, Crystal, for actually bringing that up. My name is Gabriela Schwartz. I'm a licensed social worker through the state of Michigan. And after everything that's happened over this past week with all of these allegations coming out, we're seeing that there's a really big need for healing. There's a really big need for community. There's a really big need for allyship. And so we have put together, or we're putting together, free resources. We're doing a free support group for survivors and allies. We're thinking, everything's kind of up in the air right now, but we're thinking maybe anywhere from 6 to 8 sessions. Topics like signs of SA and DV, consent and sexuality, trauma and PTSD, men's issues. I know a lot of men have been affected by this, and a lot of men are afraid to speak up about it and don't know how to speak up about it and talk to each other about it. Definitely LGBTQ, BIPOC, and other marginalized communities that are at increased risk to experience these things. So please follow us. We're at Interspace Detroit on Instagram, Interspace_Detroit_. We're partnering with Marble Bar. We're gonna have our first pilot session. It's looking like 2 weeks from now on February 9th. In the evening sometime. So follow us at that space for more. There's definitely more updates coming. And again, we just thank you guys so much for starting this and coming here and actually bringing that up first, because that's definitely the need of what's happening right now. So thank you guys so much.
Oh, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. So a little bit about myself. I'm an event producer, DJ, and culture worker in Detroit. I was born in Cincinnati, raised in Muskegon, and I've been in town for about 5 years. Really lucky to be in community with a lot of people in this space tonight. So thank you so much for showing up for this. And I think I want to start off with a few introductions. We're going to go straight down the line and start with Sophiyah. If you can give a round of applause for her time tonight.
What up, though? How y'all feeling? I said, what up, though? Yeah. Okay, we got to get a little connected in here. I'm extremely grateful to be in this space. I don't stay too far from here, but I grew up in Detroit, and I want to thank you, Crystal, for always holding space and conversation for evolving as people who are having human experiences as producers. So myself, I am a musician. I consider myself a multi-sensory artist. I DJ, I create music compositions, play keys, I facilitate sonic meditations, I study frequency and sound, and I also have my own organization that is a Detroit-based holistic resource that provides accessibility to health aids. I also do creative direction and media production, and as well as I am on a great team, if you guys ever heard of D.Cipher. We're an artist advocacy team where we amplify the Michigan music economy through artist development resources and event curations. So I'm about that life at the end of the day. I grew up in a space where it was about what we're doing from the root and from the source, and to also come into a place of unification. So I am grateful to be here at Spotlight, and I'm going to pass the mic.
What's up, y'all? So my name is Brian Oscar. I go by Reckless. I DJ. I'm a multidisciplinary creative. I make a lot of different things, and I do a lot of stuff. So I'm glad to be part of the panel. They considered me for it. I founded Stableheed. It's an interdisciplinary collective that's about intercultural dialogue. So culture goes a lot of different ways. There's a lot of different things where culture applies to, like there's food culture, there's nightlife culture. So intercultural dialogue is just talking about it or bringing it up, find ways to preserve it and progress it.
Hi, everybody. Hey. I'm Jess. I am not a native Detroiter, but I've been here for 9 years. I am currently the general manager of this beautiful establishment. I'm so happy to be able to sit up here with these individuals and have this conversation with everybody. I've been in the hospitality industry for 15 years. So I've seen a lot from the front, being like a server and bartender, from being somebody who works in a kitchen, and for the last almost 2 years working in a club and art atmosphere. So that's kind of where my perspective will come from. I consider myself to be a creative. I'm also a DJ, but first is like being a chef, and that's like my favorite thing. So I love this, but that's it.
Hi, my name's Farah. I'm the founder of Dcryptd. What we do at Dcryptd is we provide inclusive resources at a sliding scale regarding personal security. So our work is meant to be for the people, and we do not discriminate between institutional affiliation, marginalized genders, professions, or anything like that. I grew up in Michigan. I recently moved back to Detroit a couple months ago. Some of my affiliations are with the New York City Cyber Abuse Task Force, as well as Cabal, which is an international hacker collective fighting gender-based violence. Thank you.
Cool, amazing. Thank you guys. I'm so happy that we have such a dynamic panel tonight. Jesse, are you hearing the feedback that Farah's mic is getting?
The mic on the left is not as good, so you can chirp for you.
I'll just pass.
Okay, put that in between. Okay, cool. Thank you so much. And I think we just want to kick off tonight with some questions around what it means to produce a space that feels safe and accessible. So the first question I have for our panelists is, what does it mean to cultivate an intentional community online or in real life? And we can just kind of popcorn around.
Can you repeat the question one more time? Sorry.
Sorry, Jess.
It's okay.
What does it mean to cultivate an intentional community online or in real life?
I think that really means just providing a space that's genuine. Like here, we're really genuine in the fact that we want to hear good music and we want people to have a good time and enjoy the dance floor while they're here and have like a really good drink and be able to chill and hang out, have a coffee. So I think that inclusivity comes with that because we are putting our own hearts and souls into it, and so people feel like they want to be a part of it.
Thank you so much.
Can you repeat the question one more time?
No problem. Ask as many times as y'all need. What does it mean to cultivate an intentional community online or in real life?
That's a good question, too. I really feel like inclusivity has a lot to do with individuality first, and also minding that inclusivity doesn't mean just the human body or just like us in community. It actually means the space that we're in. So how are we including not just the people who are a part of what we're trying to create as far as an event or an experience, but also think about the space that we're in, you know, where we are, and include that too, because I solely believe that everything we do is energy-based. So if we're discounting that, then we're adding to something that we're not acknowledging. We're creating now two different worlds, and we're inviting other people to bring their energy into this space, which could create exclusivity, and you don't know it. So I do feel like it had a lot to do with individuality as far as like, what is it that we want to bring into these spaces when we're going to hang out? What is it that we genuinely want to do? And then those of us who are responsible for creating this event, us thinking outside of the box as far as how inclusivity can affect people pre, during, and post. And then kind of building from that and really listening to, you know, how can we help that evolve so that we have an inclusive environment.
I always think like you got to ask the right questions. So you got to define the communities that you're trying to like, serve, you know, so you can understand like who are you serving. So I always think like who, what, where, when, why, you know. So like if you can answer those questions, you can find a way to like serve those people better. Like who are you inviting into your space? Like what are you doing in the space? You know, when, you know, the time of day, like that defines the situation too. Why, you know, if you're here to listen to music, if you're here to talk, if you're here, you know, it changes how you want to protect the space or the people in it or facilitate it, and how. So if you can ask those questions and answer them, I think that leaves you in a better space.
I think it's important to note that inclusivity often starts with a seed of authenticity and a need for really wanting the people that are around you to be there. I think in a space like this, we've all come here together willingly, and it's beautiful, and we're showing, you know, there's an understanding that the tastemakers also want to hear what the people want. And I think, especially in my domain, which would be online, the online space has acted as a refuge for people who feel marginalized since its conception. Mm-hmm. So I think it's really important to kind of hone in on who your audience is, listen to them, and take into account what their concerns are.
Thank y'all so much. And speaking on audience, how do you feel like the programming you do for your events affects the audience in attendance, and how does that audience affect the overall feeling of safety and community in what you do? I know it's a little multi-layered, so if you need me to repeat it, let me know. Okay, cool. So thinking about audience, how do you feel like the programming of the events that you put together affect the audience that shows up, and how does that audience affect feelings of safety and comfort in the event space?
I want to answer this question from a very organic standpoint, which is, I'll just start with like family dinner. We can look at something of just like bringing our friends together, or we're breaking bread together. And when I'm cooking this food or I'm creating this space, I'm thinking like, damn, okay, I want to make sure I have some lights over here. I want to make sure that there's some cushion to sit down in. I want to make sure the food tastes good. I want to make sure the music tastes good. Is your feet cold? All these things kind of go down the list. And so also, I feel like from that experience that you create, whether it's dinner, you get in a bathtub by yourself, whatever it is, to an actual event where there's thousands of people, you want them to be able to take something home, whether it's tangible or intangible. And I feel like education is like definitely one thing. So what's something that you're informing your audience or a group of people of, or people who come over, how are you informing them about where they are, what's going on? Also, a sense of acknowledgement. It's like, okay, you came through, thank you for coming through. Those are some nice shoes. How are you feeling? Checking in, being aware beyond just the thing that you're solely trying to do. And I think that that's something that does happen. We understand like capitalism, we understand commodified spaces. It's kind of like, okay, I know that I need people to be in this space, and I want to attract people to this space so I can get what I need. And that's something that we should be shifting away from. Is, yeah, we know people are going to have a good time, and this, that, and the other. But do you want to make an impression that's, again, like you said, authentic? Do you want to make an impression that's authentic? Do you want to make an impression that's relative to, the human experience, that's extremely nonlinear, so that they can have space to hold that impression, whether it's tangible or intangible? So I feel like bringing people into a space, having something like education, acknowledgement, check-ins, different things like that, things that are relative, things that people can recognize and relate to, things that are relatable. I think that helps people as well, if that answered like the first part of your question.
That beautifully. Because I think one thing that draws me to everyone on this panel, if I go to an event, y'all are at the event, dancing to the event, showing up for the event. And I know that makes me feel comfortable. I know that makes me feel good, and I really appreciate kind of how you all approach what you do.
Thank you, Crystal. I really appreciate that, actually. And, I feel like from my perspective personally, and from like the perspective of this venue, there's two things that we do to make sure that we're approaching the right audience. One is hospitality, and two is the dance floor. Like, the conversation that we're having right now is how to create a safe space in the community that is that. And we provide that kind of space, and with our programming, we really support the Black and LGBTQ community here. And you see that in the programming, but then you also see that in the audience, because people who might not be a part of that said community still want to come here and be with the people that are.
I would say that, especially in online spaces, and one in particular with my organization, Dcryptd, we try and include people of all walks of life. And I think it's really important when it comes to messaging that it's not a one-off to include a marginalized population. We need to look at our audiences through a lens of individuality rather than a normalized lens of, say, cis-het white male, right? Any kind of concern should be should be taken in with the utmost respect, and it's not niche. And I try and bring a culture of inclusivity and normalizing difficult conversations.
I think I remember the whole question. So when I curate, when I curate an event, I usually listen to them beforehand. Like I'll show up to an event or I'll check them out at some other gig they have, a mix they have, talk to them. Because I want to get a sense that, what type of vibe they are, like what type of energy they bring, what type of people they bring to the audience. So then I can like curate like another person who might vibe well with them. So usually I'm, checking out different venues or different parties. So when I think of that, it's really like being attentive, like to who you're inviting into the space. And then it's like, if I'm at a venue, I'm checking in on staff. Like, are y'all good? Is y'all cool? This is the person who's gonna play. Like, it's like, so there's communication between everybody. So you have an idea of what's going on. Obviously, if I booked Sophiyah, she knows her audience, so she's gonna communicate with them. I'm like talking to people who's in there. So it just makes it a little bit easier that everybody has like an idea of why they're there, the communication, and the vibe, like you can't really like quantify that other than like checking it out, seeing what people are, and if they get along with each other. Because some people, it could just be like, I'm here for a check, Somebody's like, yo, I really want to play, or, like, you gotta guesstimate.
Yep. Well, thank y'all so much for sharing, and I think maybe we can get a little bit into the nitty gritty. So let's say it's a good vibe, and then it isn't, A conflict breaks out, an incident happens that changes the tone of the event. How do you deal with that conflict? Do you tend to have a strategy plan or a security plan, or is it just kind of case by case basis?
Okay. So I look at it as a case-by-case basis. I think it's really important to recognize power structures in play. So it differs from venue to venue and, even city to city. And in online spaces, I think I have the privilege of things being pretty laid out pretty plainly in front of me because it's either hateful words or it isn't. I think you can run into issues in IRL spaces where, say, someone is made uncomfortable. I think to assess that situation, first, there needs to be grace that's given to the person who's making the complaint or bringing this to light. And I also look at it as a point where there needs to be a separation between people who are involved in the conflict. I can understand that emotions may get high, people want to engage, but as someone who is taking hold of a space and takes the responsibility for keeping people safe, it's important to separate that.
I feel you. I think it's a case by case every time, because I can't say I really have situations where I've had problems with an event I've curated, but I've also been a DJ at a spot and something might happen. You know what I mean? Everybody has their roles to play. So I feel like I said, if there's a communication between everybody, not everybody's trying to break out and add more to the commotion if people came here for a specific reason. So I think it's like staff too. Like obviously if a fight breaks out, you're looking to security. If somebody unplugs a cord, you're looking towards an engineer. So it's hopefully you got a good team in place that you can like rectify a situation as it comes along, and it's experience. So as something happens, you find ways to adjust or add it to your, Rolodex of like, oh snap, like if there's a spill, good thing we got a mop, yeah.
I also think that it's more so case-based in regards to how to deal with certain conflicts. So you might have like a sense of conflict where someone may feel harassment where it's verbal, or a sense of conflict where it becomes physical. And personally, I haven't as well. Like, I haven't run into that kind of conflict while throwing an event, but the key thing is to be prepared. So in this room, how many people got a CPL? Okay. How many people know self-defense? How many people want to know self-defense? See what I'm saying? So it makes sense to have, tap into your community and your resources and make sure that you have those things present in the space. Yeah, y'all know last poets, they say we gonna party and bullshit. That's gonna be to the end of time. But what's most important is to think about how do we preserve the party and the bullshit the right way. And we need to have the right people in the room, but also create a space where people can be heard. What I've witnessed a lot, I've had experience working in a traumatic brain injury center, and I worked in a behavioral unit. And what I've seen what stems from most of the conflict and them wanting to lash out is they don't feel like they're heard. And so how do we create a space where people feel heard, or inclusivity, like we talked about before? Individually, somebody might come through, they a little tipsy, whatever, a little aggravated, girl not talking to me, I'm ready to bust her upside the head, X, Y, and Z. You know, those things can happen. But if you're prepared and think about those scenarios, is very important. Like even my org now, like we're growing, you know, just being transparent. And we're figuring it out. We don't have all the answers. And yeah, we can host an event at a venue, and maybe they have contracted security. But what really helps is when you think about what do you have, prepare for those situations. Like, I think we need to get some security. Because every time I turn on the TV, somebody's shooting for no reason, and from a child to an adult. So we do need to know how to have de-escalation tactics, and whether that's physical or whether that's verbal, you need to have the right resources in the room. And I think that's how you can deal with some of those conflicts, and make sure you have like a counselor or someone there that can create a sense of ease and grace, because we really just want to have a good time. But honestly, we just want to be heard. We want to feel like we relate. We're human, and it's a human experience. So that would be what I would say towards that question.
I personally dealt with all these kinds of conflicts working in a venue, and we have preventative measures in place, which would be something like wanding people as they walk in and making sure that there's no firearms on the dance floor, security that work throughout. The staff is actually also really plays a crucial part in this as well, because everybody's keeping their eyes out for things. Now, that doesn't go to say that there's things that go unseen, even by security, even by the people that may be around you. But I know that for me, if somebody were to bring me an issue that happened that we didn't personally see, or security missed, or got missed at the door, we would try to do whatever we could to handle that situation and to separate the two parties involved. A lot of times though, for me, I know that I will walk up to a situation that I look to see like maybe, an altercation, and people look at me like, who are you? Why are you the one that's trying to break this up? Well, I work here, and I'm trying to protect everybody that's in this space and that's attending this party and that works here. And so like as a community, I feel like we could do a better job of, you know, respecting the staff and also recognizing that they are ready at any point to help you if you just ask.
Thank you so much, Jessica. And I'm going to ask Monica from Cairo Coffee to come up. And and as we move out of the panel and a little bit more into the Q&A, unless there's anything else that our panelists wanted to talk on, I wanted us to do about okay, we're going to pass the floor to Sophiyah.
wanted to say before we go into Q&A that I am happy that everyone is intentionally here in this space, even the people on Twitch. This is a conversation that needs to keep happening because we're going to keep gathering. So we start here, but these conversations, they happen behind closed doors, you know, and we don't get a chance to have diversity in terms of like different roles that actually create these experiences. So I would like to know more how you guys would feel about having reoccurring sessions like this or just events like this to talk about it, because things are evolving and I feel like the standards are not. And that's why we're running into a lot of these situations. So that's just my 2 cents on the end.
Yeah, I feel like over the past, few years, just the amount of venues that are opening up in Detroit and the amount of people who are coming into the city to party, it's growing pretty exponentially. And there's still not really a wide set security plan or safety plan for the people at these spaces. So with that in mind, I thought we could maybe spend about 30 seconds popcorning out some words for Monica to write down and then go into the Q&A. But the prompt here is trying to keep it down to one word or 1 or 2 words. What does safety look like to you? So just kind of shout out, she'll grab what she can, we'll put it on the board, and then we'll start the Q&A.
Respect. Being heard.
Hold up, y'all.
Yeah, we're not expecting you to get all of it, because I know you can only write so fast.
I want to hear all of this. Accessibility, holistic. What else? Freedom. Consent.
What'd you say?
Not getting your drink drugged.
Not getting your drink drugged?
Right.
Yeah.
De-escalate.
Vigilance, awareness,
Education.
Accountability. Communication.
Understanding.
Consistency.
Trust.
Trust. Understanding. Trust. I missed a few. Integrity. What'd you say?
forward,
Being on time.
Timeliness.
being prepared.
Okay, word. And I think as Monica kind of finishes writing out those thoughts, we're going to open the floor out to any Q&A you might have for the panelists, or just kind of as a speaking point for you to bring up. Oh, what? Kindliness. Kindness. Okay, word. Okay, word. I heard acceptance too. Okay, word. Okay, love that. Okay, so do we have any questions from the audience?
So for Q&A, I'm just going to try to go around and make sure the first hand that goes up goes next. So I'll call on you, and then our mics are wired, so just kind of elevate your voice. I can't push it out there. Yes.
Hi, I'm Tori. I'm the owner and operator.
Do you mind standing up so you can hear you better?
Do we actually want to bring this mic over here and
Or
ask
you guys
people to
wanna
come up?
and ask?
I think that might be even.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, everybody. I know a lot of you I know, but I am Corey. I'm the owner and operator of Marble Bar. Thank you, Spotlight, for opening up your space and hosting this. I have been really looking forward to a conversation like this for a long time. You guys did a great job. One of the things, as the owner and operator of a club myself, I've run into a lot of these issues, and you touched on a lot of things. How do you make people feel seen, acknowledged, included? And as much as we can strive to do all of that, where I'm having trouble as the operator of another club is there are these issues of people being drugged and sexual assault, and oftentimes that happens behind closed doors or after people are leaving the club, or like someone said, drugs in your drink. And I know as the owner and operator of a space, that feels like a major violation. I'm sure it has when it's happened other places that people take welcomed ownership of. when you have an event somewhere, you feel part of that space. So when something like that happens, you feel violated too, I'm sure. What I was hoping today, that as a community we could come up with a verbiage that could be posted everywhere at all of our clubs that lets these people, these perpetrators know we are watching, and not just in my space and not just in your space, but we are watching everywhere. We're watching at TV, we're watching at St. Andrews, because these people are finding opportunities to let this stuff happen, and it's not just at one type of party, it's not just at one place. So I was really happy to be able to attend tonight to try to come up with that, and whether it's like Jess, I'm Corey, I manage at Marble, I'm really glad to meet you, whether it's you and I coming up with verbiage after this meeting, or we take some of these words and we get them out there to let people know as a community we are watching. And I think that you know, Gabi's come up with this support group that I think will be really educational for people, continuing to have these conversations, going on as club owners and party promoters to have these types of conversations, because beyond physical, you know, the fights you can prevent with security, but these things that are happening to women and marginalized community members, whether it's LGBTQ, Black women particularly, there's a target out there on people's backs, and we need as a community to figure out how to come together and cut that shit out. So thank you guys for hosting. I hope we can come up with some type of verbiage we can put everywhere. Yeah. Is cool. Thank you.
With that being said, I would love the panel to respond to like maybe a way that, or a suggestion, or if the crowd has a suggestion of how can we really monitor as a venue, and I agree with Corey 100%, how do you guys have any suggestions? This is a working conversation. Do you guys have any suggestions of how we can curb that behavior here? And I see a hand in the back. I'm going to start with her. Do you have a suggestion? Monica's going to write it all down. We're going to share it. Go ahead. If you can speak up or come up, one or the other.
One suggestion that I was thinking of was maybe offering tops on top of your cup. So maybe just
You're saying like lids? Yes.
like offering lids to go on top of cups. That's probably something that could, you know, people can grab, maybe not slow you guys down, but it'll be available for people to put on top of your cup to kind of cut things where they might.
That is such an easy fix. And we could do that here. We have lids. You could ask for them. Like, we should just put them out for people. That's like, again, like this is meant to be like, how can we do things in a smart, collective way? And sometimes because we are running a place, it gets so busy and so chaotic that the smallest thing is so hard for us to think about, right? And you had a suggestion, yes?
Yeah, I'll just stand up.
Okay. Oh, you come stand here in front of the mic. Yeah, come on.
I'm thinking, so my husband owns Big Pink, and we were kind of talking about how I think, you know, as a woman, I've seen a lot of stuff happen. I used to party a lot, and I think just having a collective amongst business owners in general, and some form of like communication on like what is going on, and like to keep it consistent among like club owners and have like accountability. I think that could be really valuable.
Absolutely. I'm sorry. Absolutely. I'm really grateful that everyone is here. And again, like everything that we put together today is going to be shared on our website, and anyone can take what they want from this conversation. This is a conversation for the community. It's not just for Spotlight. Yes. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Oh, yeah. Does anyone have some kind of...
Probably Farah.
Sure. I'm going to put this back over here.
Those were some really great suggestions and implementations that can happen like tomorrow, tonight. And I want to speak a little bit more to actually what both of y'all was saying as far as having alliance. So in the city of Detroit, that alliance should be strong if we're all doing the same thing. I think one of the reasons why Crystal was like asked us is because we want to do things that make sense, meaning like this, and not try to reinvent the wheel and have a sense of like, I'm doing this over here and I'm doing this over here. Like, nah, that shouldn't exist. And as far as like the communication, I think that would be really helpful. I think I would like to speak more on the terms of what's happening as emotionally afterwards, when people are experiencing these things, and also what's happening at the bar. So maybe like designating someone who oversees the bar specifically for that could be helpful too. And just kind of watching, just having eyes specifically for those things. And then from my experience and speaking with others over time, I understand that there is always some layered experiences with running venues, and you have a lot of things that you have to do. But if business continues as normal after that, that really impacts someone's experience, especially if they live here and they have nowhere else to go and they have to keep seeing this over. It's traumatic. So I think when these situations happen, venue owners and business owners and those who are responsible for these experiences should be finding a way to provide resources, to have conversation, and even think about having these conversations at your venue. Not just to shake your ass and play music and all that stuff like that. We need to be doing that. I mean, we talked about even, you can do self-defense classes here. If at this point, it's a culture hub. If you want to create something on Detroit grounds, you have to take responsibility for it. But at the end of the day, it's not just about creating these great experiences, being the #1 spot, and who cares? Because when somebody go to sleep at night and they got to keep having this reoccurring memory that they had a horrible incident, and then you bringing in more people and they still partying and making money, what does that say about you? So we need to think about how do we, create versatility with those, with the programming in our spaces, and what are we doing directly after harm? How are we speaking to people? How are we being kind, honestly? Like, how are we being kind? Because there's a culture to everything that we're doing. When it comes to DJing, when it comes to live performance, there's a complete culture. And a lot of that stuff needs to be annihilated and broken down and rebuilt upon. So that's my 2 cents for that.
Only thing to say to piggyback on that is, like, I guess, because after this, it'd be to continue the conversation and see, like, okay, are we still having the same problems? Are we, have we made it more aware, or does it feel the same, so it's not like one time is going to be enough. Obviously, just more conversation. That shows unity. It shows, like, people are listening, taking care. Like you were saying, it shows that we're watching, we're looking out for you, because it's not easy to say that you can instantly prevent somebody slipping something in a cup. You could check somebody, you could do all that stuff. Things can happen. So it's like more knowing the intention and like how people operate in the space that will prevent people from doing stuff like that. So.
I just want to say that I think we probably all need to make people feel like they can come to us at any moment. It's not our responsibility to necessarily deal with it with them through the process, but if it happens in our space, then we have to help them go in the right direction after. And we have to be able to go into the right direction after. But we can't do that if people are afraid to come to us, and they're more likely to go to their Instagram story or their Facebook and post that something happened to them somewhere, just assuming that nobody wants to help them. Like, I would be more than willing to help anybody who felt like something horrible happened to them here, because I'm here every day. I don't want to feel unsafe in this space, and I wouldn't want anybody to feel that either. But I feel like right now in this community, people are afraid to go to venue owners or promoters because usually nobody does anything about it. And so that's where I feel like this conversation, I feel like that's what it's about. We have to do something, and that's the first step, and we can figure out what we need to do after.
I'm going to let Farah speak, and then I saw a couple hands go up. We'll call on you in just a moment. Real is keeping track.
So I think one thing of note is I'm coming at this as an angle as someone with no venue affiliation or party affiliation. I'm coming at this as a party goer. So I think one thing that is really important to keep in mind is you have to make space for the people around you. Like, it sounds so corny, but make eye contact with people, say hi. Like something that Jess was saying earlier, when she is there to maybe break up conflict, that idea of, oh, who are you? It's Detroit. Like, we all know each other. If we don't know each other's names, we've seen each other out. So there has to be a culture of just being able to trust people. And I think that it's important to know that there are individuals who promote this idea of accountability stops when it's my friends. And that absolutely needs to be abolished if people want to stay safe. And I think all of this comes from love. It comes from community love. If you love your friend, tell them to cut their shit out.
We had a couple questions out.
Yeah. Sorry. All right. I know that there was a couple of questions. I think I saw some hands over here. Did anyone have a question? I think I saw Zora have her hand up first. Zora,
Maceo had his hand.
I'm sorry?
I just saw he was going to say something
Okay,
earlier.
all right, hold on. So we're going to get around the room. I'm going to have you go first, you go second, you go third, Zora fourth, and then I saw Riza in the back, and then Haley. So let's do that. We have a hard stop at 8, so I'm going to try to get everybody in. So yes. Would you like to come up here? Yes, you.
I can do it from
All right, great.
I think that one thing that I've seen work in the past and I've worked on is like starting with community standards around that intentional space idea. So then all the venue owners can commit to that. And then also collecting incident reports and sharing those throughout the sort of collective of ownership.
Yes, we just started doing that here, but yes, agreed.
So that way you know how frequently your venue is having incidents, and then you can work to reduce that number and talk with other venues that are having more success with reducing the number. So it's measurable, and you can see it go up and down throughout.
That's a great suggestion. Thank you. Yes, I absolutely agree. Yes, yes, you with the glasses.
Just a comment that maybe can help venues and venue owners is being a little bit more active on social media. So speaking from past experience, I went to a venue for an event, and I left the event by myself and ended up getting assaulted by 2 men. And when I tried to, message the venue on Instagram or wherever, no message back. Nobody saw the message. I didn't get any response back. So
Yeah.
I think, moving forward, just having, I guess, somebody from social media
Yes.
with that venue that I know that nobody's, trained in this, and I know that we're figuring it out together, but at least just having some type of communication in that sector, since everybody's active on social media.
Yeah, so like a lot of venues don't have phones, and so we use our social media as our customer service and our phone number. And like, I agree, we need to all we try our best here, and I hope that didn't happen here, but we try our best here, and we always try to make sure that we get back to anyone no matter what the concern is. So I think that's a super valid point, and thank you, and I'm sorry that really happened to you. The young lady in front, I'm sorry, I'm sorry for being brief. I'm just I want to make sure that we can get to everybody to speak. Yes.
Question, followed by some.
Okay, question? Yes.
Wondering if the panel has ever been an experience where maybe working at the bar where you cut somebody off. We're talking about knowing the signs and shifting culture. When are we actually cutting people off with alcohol if we're using our eyes and we're using signs to identify who might actually, be making a mistake? I've got guy friends who have done, things that they regret, not because they're perpetrators, but because they were fucked up. Perpetrators, they have a list of things that they're looking for. So if I'm a young person coming to Spotlight, I've been here on busy nights, I don't know who the fuck works here. Maybe who's at the bar, I have a hard time making eye contact to get a drink in the first place. So knowing who actually works here on staff is pretty hard if you're a young person who's not used to the scene, who's often victim.
So for your point, somebody made a comment on social media of like having a hotline that's posted throughout the venue. So like you can text that number and the manager on staff will come and address that so that you can stay anonymous. And I really want to put that up there because it's something that I thought was a great idea and I really want to implement. So then you may not, if you're somebody, like let's say some people come in here that are regulars, they know who works here. But if you don't, then how are you going to find the person, right? Unless they have like a security shirt on and, you know, it's hard. But having a hotline or a number that's posted in all the bathroom stalls and all the spaces to text if there's a problem, I think that's like, for us here at Spotlight, it's going to be one of our first things that we implement that was suggested to us by a customer. And I think that would help because you don't know who to go to and sometimes you don't want to go to and you don't feel comfortable going to somebody. And that will like maybe hopefully address that. You take a quick picture, send it to the Instagram or just say I'm here and this is what's going on. So that's my personal idea because we can't introduce every staff member to every customer that walks in, right? But you can always go to the bar, at least here, you can always, and I'll have Jessica talk about it, but you can always go to the bar and they will help you, yeah.
So it's already implemented, actually. And if you bartend or have been to a bar, pretty much every bartender in Detroit should have some kind of tips or serve safe certification. And in that training, they teach you the signs. Now, in this type of environment, I'm going to be very honest, alcohol is not the only thing that we're talking about here. And so that then makes it very hard to determine whether somebody is actually over the limit or under, or, you know, maybe like almost about to overdose, you know what I mean? It's very hard to tell. And so then that conversation then becomes like a personal one. And I feel like it's okay for us to check our friends about their drug and alcohol use when they're in public, if it's leading to things like this. But I know that here, if you feel like somebody needs to be cut off, you can definitely ask me. You can definitely tell a bartender, and we will do that. There's also Narcan at like every point in the building here, just in case something bad happens, you know what I mean? But because there is use of alcohol and other drugs in every single space that we're talking about here, it does make it a little bit more difficult than people think to be able to just cut somebody off.
Quick question. I was going to ask if Spotlight has any type of training around harm reduction or Narcan or ODing or XYZ for the staff.
Yes, we do. We also have information posted in our staff bathroom, and we have Narcan in literally every point in this place that you just can't see from the naked eye, but it's there.
I think, Zora, you said you had a question? Do you want to come up? Come on up.
Let me take this off. Wait. Hey guys, so I'm Zora Monaco. Not sure if you guys know me or not, but I'm a DJ and producer in Detroit. I work with a lot of the clubs here. I want to say thank you guys for all being here, first of all, especially club owners and people who participate in this industry. I feel like it's really important that you guys are here, and I've heard a lot of really, really good ideas. You guys kind of answered what I was going to ask, which was, you know, you're talking about us being able to come to you guys when something happens. On the topic of being drugged, like I do have a friend who was drugged in the parking lot, and his story is very haunting, and he hasn't told anybody except for me. He didn't even make it into the club. So like, as we're talking about being able to post like these things around, like are you guys gonna put them on social media? Like for people who don't have social media, like how are we gonna be able to reach them about this kind of thing? So that's just my question, something to think about. And then further on, besides that, I know that you may know that I've been talking about sexual assault, and I'm not here to talk about that in particular today. I do plan on having my own thing to talk about it. But I did send out like a promise statement to most clubs, venues, prominent individuals in the industry to try to get us to have a united front against assault and against these incidents that happen so that we can all be accountable. So I'm glad that someone brought it up, and I don't want to do it by myself. So I'm sorry, it's just like been a lot. I don't want to do it by myself. So I want to ask you guys if you want to do it together to make it not only sexual assault but also incidents and things like that, and how we can make it an all-encompassing statement for all of us.
Yes, I mean, Zora's had a big week, and it's been very intense and very, she's gotten a lot of information that she's had to process, and so we've been trying to navigate through a lot of these conversations, and I know it's a big conversation we want to have. Unfortunately, we're not prepared to have that conversation today, but we want to, and we hope to like have another panel that has the right people that can address it. As for the parking lot situation, which I've heard that even happen at my space, and sometimes it's hard for us, like we have security that drives around, but a predator is a predator. And if they're gonna find a place and a weakness to find somebody, they're gonna find them. And if they can't find it in the space, they're gonna find it outside of the space. And I would love to take anyone's suggestions, because I don't have the answer for this, as to, in the panel too, of suggestions of how we can better protect a block away or 2 blocks away, or, you know, we try to work with DPD, but their resources are limited, so it's really hard to get them out here. So I'm gonna open up that to the audience of like any suggestions that people might have. I have a hand up there, yes? More lights by the cars. Monica, can we just recently, all of the lighting that happens on our street, we actually had it implemented by DTE, and we pay for the street lights. Believe it or not, which is some crazy shit. But we pay for our own street lights because we needed to have more street lights here. So we have definitely done that. You almost need a spotlight, but like, we're really working, and we know that makes a big difference. I'm saying like not us, but on a spotlight. Does anyone else have another suggestion? Yes.
I know it's not like an instant.
Oh, go ahead. Come on. There's no wrong answer. This is suggestions.
But I think I'm a big advocate for encouraging like peer education and holding friends and each other accountable. And like what that looks like, I don't necessarily know, but I know that there have been people in my life who didn't necessarily have access to education, and the more they learn, like the better their actions become. So I think, I would like to just kind of get some ideas around how to encourage more peer education, whether that's like posting resources in the space, social media, on like what, I've even had conversations recently with people at our venue about, a lot of people don't even know what sexual assault is, or like what qualifies that and things like that. So just getting some education, like about leering, for example, like persistent staring and things like that. So if anyone has any ideas on how to encourage peer education.
I want to say something really quick, like in regards to that too. But Rula said something interesting, that DPD is not available to us, and that's a reality. So who's available? Who's available to us is all of us. So I think the best thing to really do is, there's probably people in this room that are counselors, that are work within like sexual abuse and do different things. So I think that we need to tap into our own resources. And that's a real thing. So like, if you want to do that, like write down your name, write down your email, and we can create a list. I love a Google Doc. So we can create a Google Doc. It can be added to Spotlight's website. It can be added to Cairo Coffee's Linktree. So I think what we need to do is tap into each other as a way of creating a safe place, because the police don't create safety. really. They don't, it actually makes me feel alarmed sometimes when I personally feel, when I see the police. So I think why we're here is that we have all these resources at our disposal, so let's use them. I just wanted to say that.
Yes. Thank you, Monica. Yes, we have a clipboard up here. If you have something to offer, please put it up here because we'd love to share it. I know Riza is next. Yes. Well, this gentleman and then Deja. But yes, go ahead. Have a buddy. Yes. Let's start there. Absolutely. That's a great suggestion. We're here for that. Absolutely. Yes, I agree. Yes. Right. I agree. The problem is sometimes when the bar is so thick, that's why, like, yes, I agree. And I think that's what's happening is like maybe somebody has, and I've seen it, they have a complaint and they can't get through in the heat of the night. And that's when like is the perfect time for a predator to strike. Yes. Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, he's next. Well, and then Deja and then Tammy. Absolutely, thank you. You have a suggestion or question?
Yeah, Andrew, just an idea. So,
Yes.
I think we all agree that having a collective, unified front is very powerful, whether it's Spotlight or Marvel or Big Pink or TV, and having some standards. So kind of borrowing an idea from the food health industry where like, you know, A, B, and C rating, like you walk up to a restaurant, you see that it's an A, you see that it's a B, you might be having some risk. And so if there are like a minimum set of standards, like offering lids on cups, plus our staff are all trained in de-escalation, etc. If that's a standard list of 10 things, then you have like a visual representation that this club is certified in doing those minimum things.
I love that idea. The thing is, just playing a little devil's advocate. No, I'm not going to shoot it down. It's a matter of like, you have to have somebody that regulates that, right? And so that's what makes it complicated. That's why we have to internally take this and make it and be champions of it. Because at some point, somebody has to run and go and check and make sure those places are doing it. So maybe at some point, we can cultivate to be in a place to do that. But I think just starting with the list, I mean, I love that idea too. Deja? I love that. So yes, it's very important. Tammy is next, and then I'm going to come through the rest of the crowd. So my question is, do they like just wait for 10 people at a time and let them in? Yeah, and give it to them and then let them in? I mean, people wait in line, like they can wait 5 minutes to hear something. I love that idea. Nowadays. Yeah. Hold on one second. I have this gentleman and the woman with the glasses right there.
Haley back there too.
Well, yes, your suggestion, but then you can address, if you want to just add to it. Yes. Yeah, so the thing with valet park, well, the valet parking is you have to have a parking lot. valet cannot do it without like you owning a parking lot. So it's been really challenging for us to have valet because they have to go and actually lease a lot from somebody around if you don't own one. So we've been challenged with that, you know. That's why we do mobile. We're actually trying to secure a lot behind our building. We're trying to do that stuff so that we have secure parking, but we've played with the idea with valet, and like it's against like their regulations if they don't have an allocated lot to send the cars to or a garage. But yes, I mean, we at least here we've tried to play with that idea a lot, but I think that's a great suggestion once we do have one. Did you want to say anything with the glasses, or are you good? I want to give you your turn. Sure, they're a much bigger scene, so it's more robust, yeah.
I've been in conversation with some of the safety monitors at Nowadays to help inform this session and hopefully future sessions to come.
I just want to say, who else has a comment? I just want to see all the hands, a lot of hands. Okay, so I know this young lady with the glasses and the lady behind her with the glasses. Huh? And Haley. Oh, Haley, you got to be sitting up here. I can't see you all the way back there. But you go, and then you go, and then Haley. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that too, and like hearing everyone's feedback. Trying to process this the right way. Sometimes you gotta take like 10 seconds. There has to be a holistic approach. That's it. If it's holistic, then we gonna hit all of this. We've been saying some of the same things, honestly, tonight. So my thing is, in practice of hearing one another, like, what are we really trying to accomplish besides just voicing? And we want to create a space for voicing, but it has to be a holistic approach. And so I feel like when people are coming into these spaces and they have predatory characteristics, it's because they feel like they can do it. But if we had like New Era Detroit outside, anybody gonna do that shit? They're not gonna do it. It might be a little bit less. I know it's a little extreme, but I'm just saying, you know, they probably would not do that. That's, you know, I feel like that's what is coming from a lot of this, is that it has to be a holistic approach. Meaning, because of phones and technology and everything that has evolved, we have to include wellness, period. We have to, like what you just said, you were saying before, you're not about, those resources. We're not about cancel culture. Because everybody in this room, maybe not everybody, has at some point in time not created a safe space. Even when you was like 5 years old, you knocked some shit over and somebody stepped on the glass and they fucked their feet up, right? So it's just thinking about it like that. It's like at some point in time we've imposed a sense of harm, whether it's how we said something, our gesticulations. So that revolves around, again, individuality, of thinking about a sense of wellness. And we can't fix people, we can't do this, but we do have to have some type of holistic approach to this, because we can do all these things, but having some resources for wellness, like you said, knowing who's in the community, but also making that present in the space, because this is like old white shit. I'm sorry, I don't mean to say it like this, but this is very old in terms of they were thinking about trying to reach a goal in a systematic way, and we're not. And what we're doing, it has to do with spiritual activation at the end of the day. So we have to honor that. If we don't, then we still keep having the same situations. So I feel like, think about it in a sense of like holistically, pull that in. And if the role or job or whatever, it don't exist, that's our job to create it. That's it. We can say, I don't have this, but we need that person who's going to help with regulating the standard ABC thing. You know, we need that person who's going to, this is now a new role because we're in a new time. So we do need to honor that. And so I appreciate what everybody is saying, because I'm like overload over here. Like,
That's so true, and we have so many great suggestions. Right here in the back of the room, and then Haley. Hi. Oh, hi. I didn't see you.
I'm wondering, as this particular community is coming together collectively, because it sounds like we're coming together principles around community safety. I wonder if there's a way to communicate that visually in the venues. It could be collective. I'm not talking about an ugly sign, but maybe you commission artists to communicate the principles so people get used to them in the spaces, and they'll see them in the Marble Bar and the Spotlight.
When it's uniform and we all see the same thing. Yeah. Yes, I love that idea.
I'm so sorry to cut off whoever's next. I just want to add to that, because the stickers are so helpful, and I don't mean just a hotline. I mean like a, bro, if you got to do this, it's not for you, bro. Like, commission an artist to make something funny. I think the amount of people that come into Spotlight's bathrooms, me especially, I'm a party goer, and I'm in the bathroom pissing out alcohol, and I find a funny sticker on the stall. I'll take a picture of it, sharing it on my Instagram.
Sure. If it's like attention grabbing, you're saying. Yeah, absolutely.
So if we make something that it's like, if you felt like there was more than vodka soda in your drink, ask for Andy at the bar. Like, something where it's funny, somebody's sharing it, because I don't think it's 100% up to the venue. I've also had friends who have had things happen past the venue. DPD does not help. We've stopped going to those venues, etc. But it's so disheartening when like you have to change what you're doing, when like we could just like that's the thing. We're all here like generate awareness, right? So it's like if we're all posting it on our social medias and our friends are posting funny things that we see in the bathroom stall, then it's not. I don't even follow Spotlight on Instagram, and I'm here all the fucking time. Like I just don't always follow the social medias of where I'm at, because it's like I'll just look it up when I'm gonna go. So it's like that's the one thing too, that where it's not up to the venue. Like you can post it all you want, but if I'm not following you and something happens to me,
Sure.
I don't know where to go. But if my friend posted, hey, someone got sexually assaulted, this is who it was, and da-da-da-da, I'm like, I know their name, I'm screenshotting it, it's in my photos, like, I'm good to go, I know where I'm at. So that's one thing too, I completely agree. I think commissioning
Yeah.
artists, especially in this space, is such a great idea for the stickers, making it apparent everywhere. You guys have all amazing ideas. I love dancing with all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that suggestion. I completely agree. Haley?
This was along the lines of what Sophiyah was talking about like, creating new roles, or like I feel like a lot of people who work on stacks as well, and intention as they might have, or what would want to help at times, like at the end of the day, I think they do often have like another role that at high times it's hard to do well, creating, like managing, creating a safety, and being someone that people can talk to, as well as whatever role that you have in that space for your work. So I would say one thing I found successful, or made me feel good, both as like the DJ side and attendee, is to separate that role of monitoring or being someone that people can talk to away from people who have other duties.
Yeah.
And I just think that's a role that doesn't seem like prosperous for a club to have, like financial wise, like it might take hiring people who seem to only have this specific role, for others who wear multiple hats. But I just think it's definitely worth investing in to take that role as one sole responsibility and have it within the club when you're past security, but it's not really a sign or a number. It's like someone can actually say, hey, this is going on in that space, and kind of creating like an intermediary or ally to the staff members, where they truly at the end of the day can't be as present
But what Haley said, compensating those roles the same way you would any other role within the venue. A lot of people look towards like volunteer-led initiatives, pay the people.
Yeah.
I agree. I don't believe in volunteers. So, and if you know me, you know that I don't believe in volunteers. Everyone has to do their job. Did you, I think this, and over here, yes. We'll come back here. Yes. So, you know, like, navigating that space is like, it's really hard and complicated, but I take everything seriously. And the thing is like, you have to come tell the owner. So you have to, in a private, safe space, because it's hard, because a lot of times lots of things get flung at you about different people, and you try to like work your way through based on your relationship with them, your knowledge of them, your relationship that they have with other people, the people that they have around them, but that doesn't give them a free pass, right, for anything. But if you have a very specific scenario that you want to share and you feel unsafe in the space when that person is there, and I've had it on both sides, where men have felt unsafe by the women that are there, their stalker is here, whatever, and the other way. Like, the thing is, it happens on both sides. You have to come tell us. And we have to know. We can't take it from a secondhand conversation. And you have to tell us in a way that's like, I need to tell you something, I need to text you something, can I pull you to the side, can we go somewhere private? Because otherwise, I have so much stuff that's sent and fed to me on the regular, and it's very hard sometimes to navigate all of the conversations. We have a very robust and beautiful nightlife scene here, and a lot of people that perform and play and act in this space, everyone carries a lot of different stuff with them, whether it's baggage, whether it's trauma, whether it's, we come here looking for camaraderie, and we come here looking for community that we never found in other places. And so we have to lean on the fact that we are community to each other, and you have to go and be honest, because for me personally, at the end of the day, all I care about is people to express art. That's my number one thing. And number two, well, people to be safe and express art while they're safe. So those are my two things. I want people to express art, whether it's a dancer, whether it's fashion, whether it's a musician, and I want people to be safe. There's nothing else that I have. There's nothing else on that list for me. That's it. So just come and talk to us, because it's really hard otherwise to navigate. It has to be a first-hand accord. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Please.
Yeah. So one thing I think that's of note is we all came here because we are aware of these issues. And I think it's really easy to be like, oh, I want to fix every single thing and I want to be responsible for everything. It's important to note that we are in an ecosystem where people have to work with their strengths. So I think particularly this venue is taking kind of a great burden, which is well worth it, by having this conversation. At the same time, there are things that are beyond the capacity of the venues. For example, things that are happening in the parking lot, or street parking particularly. Those are things where it really comes down to community advocacy. Another thing that you mentioned in particular was education. I think education should be promoted just as much as the parties. And that's something that can happen on flyers, or, like, it has to be kind of in your face. When you read the title of the party, you should see some things underneath that educate you. Passive education is extremely powerful. And the other thing that I wanted to note was regarding to what Rilla was just talking about. I think that when there are allegations that are brought forward, and it's the case of, there are existing relationships and good business relationships and friendships, I think it is the duty of the venue or the people in charge to pull the plug temporarily until there is an actual conversation being had. It should not move forward, and I understand that there are monetary losses that come with that, but I also, as someone who directly works with survivors of gender-based violence, I cannot do justice to the pain that has been made clear to me when someone is clearly hurting, brings something forward, and it's kind of just brushed away. I understand that things can be dealt with at a later time, but I think that the morale that instills in the community is you can't even say how much value is in that.
I just want to respond to that. I 100,000,000,000% agree. And I want to give one scenario, and I don't want to go on a tangent, but we had a person that was coming in that was kind of a house music regular. I didn't really know them. One person addressed that they were a predator, and we talked to them, and we were like, please, like, I think that maybe you shouldn't be here. Well, they came back, and then somebody wrote their names with eyeliner in the bathroom stall and says, please, I feel unsafe with this person. And he came in the next time, or they came in with a mask on so I wouldn't see their face, but I obviously recognized them, and I was like, you have to leave. And when I have multiple people and somebody is sending me private messages in their eyeliner in the bathroom stall, that means there's no room for this. And you have to go fix whatever this problem is, and they have to come back to me. Until then, I don't want to see you here. And so we've done that, but it's very hard, and you're walking a very blurry line to do that every time. But when it's like multiple people, first-hand account, and somebody is writing me a cryptid message in the bathroom, I have to take it seriously, and we do here. And so we try our best to the best of our capacity, but we have to work through some of the information sometimes, especially when it's like when she says it's a resident DJ or somebody that we know, like we have to like filter and process, and we do exactly what you said, a pause, and then we try to look into it and ask all the right questions. But yes. Who has a question or a suggestion that has not spoken yet? Stephen, then Topaz.
All right. Really quick, like two things. One is security is in the culture you create. So if you create the right culture in your club as a promoter or as a venue owner, then you have security. You have people that are around you that will have your back, make sure the right people are there, and solve your problems for you and be with you. Number two, one of the things about the Detroit I love is what I'm seeing here tonight. We have Big Pink here, we have Marble, we have TV, we have Axel, we have Audio Record Team, we have all the clubs in the city working together to solve these problems and to talk about it. This is a very special thing. Right? From underground promoters to mainstream promoters, we're all here and we're talking. Like, you all have had great things to say, de-escalation, like, understand sometimes that people, when they come into a space where they're gay and queer people, they might not be used to it. They're not educated. I always say about, like, when people complain about music, I'm always like, well, maybe they haven't heard good music.
Yeah.
And then when they hear it, then they love it. So, like, understand sometimes people haven't experienced these different cultures. So educate them. Understand where they're coming from, right? Understand like de-escalation. Talk to them. Like, you can change people's minds. You can like bring someone to your side. So education. So that's all.
Awesome. Thanks, Stephen. Topaz, you want to go?
Yeah. Hello, I am Topaz.
Hey, Topaz.
First thing I want to say, hey y'all. First thing I want to say is there's been a lot of talk about community. The way that intersectionality is set up, community is determined by the individual. You determine your community by not conducive for a community, for an individual, then that's a whole nother conversation. An example, being a black, queer, femme person, I go to the same spaces all the time. Why? Because those places have proven safe for me. I don't have to worry about if I'm going to get into an altercation. I don't have to worry about if I'm not going to get served by the bar. Because time and time again, I know this place is good for me. So when we're talking about something in this capacity, it's who is your community? If I don't feel safe coming to you and this is your space, then you are my community. So going forward, as far as creating that blog, creating that Google Doc, whatever it is for whoever needs to get on there and be like, you know what, this is what happened to me and this is how I feel in this moment about that, then that's what it is. But establishing community amongst individuals is fairly difficult because everyone comes from a different place and standpoint. Everyone has a different nature versus nurture. So as far as all of us collectively getting to one point where we can say, hey, this is how I feel about my experience. What can we do about it? Or even like a venting aspect of, hey, I'm not sure to that point and having a collective conversation or understanding, that is how I personally feel that like moving forward would go on. Secondly, is the communication aspect of if I don't feel comfortable talking to you, I'm not going to communicate. If I go to, let's say, the Pinks, where I've never been, and something happens to me there, although I'm not sure the proper channel to go through in order to get to management, ownership, whatever. So I post on social media, hey, somebody did X, Y, and Z when I was there. I witnessed it, even post a video. Instead of going to you directly, it's easier for me to go to social media because at least that way I know my voice will be heard. So as bars in Detroit, having a uniform space where we can all get together and say, hey, is this going on? Is this going on? Is this going on? What can we do to not move forward, because I feel like moving forward is not addressing the issue, but after we tackle that experience from the now we can get to a point where we can have that healthy discussion. And as you were saying earlier, it's about both sides of it. So the person that was perpetrated against and the perpetrator. Not saying that the perpetrator I'm not there yet, one day I'll get there. But secondly, I understand that compassion, like if forgive them, they know not what they do. If you don't know better, how can I expect you to do better or know how to do better? So that's just a couple of things I wanted to touch upon because that's what I was thinking on here. As I said, being that marginalized person in a primarily black city still trips me out, but I try to take black and always interchange that out with female or queer or even white or, you know what I'm saying? Like everyone has their own aspect that they're dealing with this life that we are walking this earth on. So what can we do to come together as a whole to say, we got to do that? And that's holding your friends accountable and talking to your friends if they fuck up in a situation.
Yeah.
That's it.
Comment from Brian. Thank you.
I agree, and I was gonna say, like, piggybacking on that, we've already talked about it, but like a code of conduct or 10 commandments or whatever you want to call it for your venue or space is ideal. So when something happens and it's like someone can know that wasn't your intention, you know what I'm saying? So they can talk to you about something that happened because you don't allow this to happen in your space, you know? So like people might not feel comfortable talking about it because they don't even know what your standard, your intention, you know, they just thinking I'm coming here to party, I'm coming here to drink, you know? So if you have an idea of that, it's not too hard to make a graphic. Like I don't do it for every party, but I've done it for a party before, like it was a pool party. So I just wanted people to know, like, these people's bodies, you know, like take care, don't touch people, don't make people feel uncomfortable, you know, like, yeah, keep your hands to yourself, all types of stuff, you know. I don't remember it off top right now, but it helps people feel like they understand the intention as soon as they walk in. Just like they were saying, like having a speech to how many people before you walk in. It's like it happens before you even get into the space. So obviously, like, you know, you go to a place and you feel comfortable there, you know what it is, but for the people who don't know, if it's even in your FAQ or somewhere that you can get to, or if it's posted every once in a while with the rest of your content, like what you allow and don't allow.
Just really quick, I just feel like as a group, as part of this, bringing everything together and making it a unified front against all the venues, to remember to let people know that it's about the music and, like you said, the spiritual activation that comes from that. And we need to let people know that if they're not about that, then they probably don't need to be there in the first place.
We were gonna do a couple more. We can go with Julian, and then if you haven't spoken, please raise your hand. Keep it up. Time for 3 more. Okay. Bum. I saw someone over here. Bum. Oh, sorry. That's who I was looking for.
Their hand up for a while.
Which? Okay. Cool. Bum. 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 Thank you. And then we had over on the couch. Thank you so much. Okay. And then in the glasses right in front of me.
Yeah, I was just. So. Yeah, I mean, with all this list that we came up with and the resources that we're gonna come together to create, I feel like we'll make it accessible to anybody who wants to see it. Coming from somebody who also worked in the restaurant space for 13 years, that's a bigger conversation, and that's something that is gonna take a lot more people to come together and talk about, honestly.
Thank you so much, Jessica. I think we're going to start to wrap the night, and I just want to remind everyone near the pillar right there, we have a clipboard if you want to write your name and your email to be contacted about further meetings, as well as to receive the recording from this meeting. And then I'm going to ask my panelists if there are any closing thoughts they might have, then we'll take it from there.
My closing thought is definitely gratitude. Like I feel that it's a sense of gratitude. It's not always about like who's doing what. It's about, is it happening? Is shit getting done at the end of the day? And we're here because we want to see intentional, safe spaces. We don't just want to talk about it. Even though we're in an age where it's all about, let me show you what I'm doing, let me tell you what I'm doing, and not so much about how are we receiving it, how are we outputting, how are we inputting, which is very important. But my closing thoughts is like just, we got to keep doing it. And then we also don't need to isolate what we're trying to build to just this culture of, like Big Pink and the other venues, Marble Bar. Don't isolate it, because we are all artists, in this space. We are all human beings with this nonlinear experience. We're growing into things, and I think what happens is that we start to build things, and then we start to act like it's not connected to something else. So let's not isolate this. I don't particularly come to Spotlight all the time, but I am at Spotlight if I'm around the same people who go to Spotlight all the time, because I'm gonna hear about what happens. I live up the street. So it's like, let's not isolate it. I work more in live performance curations or health and wellness. And what I'm learning is that we are in space with one another and we're acting like we don't know who we are. Let's cut that shit out, because anytime somebody see me, I'm like, this big ass hat. Come on now, let's keep it real. I'm always trying to keep it open and warm, and I feel like I get that from here at Spotlight. Like, I've experienced that here. I had an opportunity to perform here, and that shit was the bomb. I haven't experienced the harm, but I know that it still exists. And so I just want to say thank you, and I hope that we continue beyond this with more action. We continue to be kind to one another. We take a minute to align, check in with one another, and continue to keep this in a more unified, like Ubuntu. I am, because we are. Like, let's not forget that. That shit is like mad important. And I'm also gonna plug that I'll be doing an artist talk in March about artist value, okay? Because we gotta talk about that part too. So it's not different, it's nothing different. These conversations are gonna come up again, but we have to keep talking about it, and we have to treat one another like we are connected, because we are at the end of the day. So I love y'all. Peace.
We'll just go down the line.
Does this work?
No, just pass it down.
Oh, just pass down.
I don't know, just our sound.
So, closing thoughts, I'd say, I guess we're gonna see where it goes, like see what people implement, because we got words and then we got actions. So we'll see if these words translate to actions, and keep talking, having a space to hold each other accountable. Like, long as there's other meetings, you say you got another one, yeah, that's it. I can't really say much. We don't know. It's not like an answer to fix everything in one moment. So it's more of like, okay, how can we add these, even as promoters or people who do the parties, you can add a little extra graphic to make people feel safe or something, you know? I'm thinking about those things too from what I've heard today, so that's all.
Closing words, I guess, aside from everything that we're gonna do and release together as a group, I'm definitely open to having an open dialogue with any other club runners or owners that are interested, just because we are in these spaces almost every day. And if we're not the ones who are gonna implement all these things that we just talked about, then I guess I wouldn't know what we were actually doing here. So, yeah, whenever you guys are ready, I'm down.
I want to thank the Spotlight team, Rula, Monica, Crystal, the rest of my panel members, and also everyone in the audience. I personally learned a lot today. And another thing that I wanted to say is a reminder to check on your people. If you feel like you don't have people, talk to people at the venue. If you see me out, let me know if you have an issue, and I got you. And I think that most people in this room share that same mentality. Thanks.
Thank you guys so much. Quick reminder, I wanted to plug once again Interspace Detroit. When is the first meeting?
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. You guys were amazing. Thank you guys so much. And everybody, thank you so much for all of the wonderful suggestions. I've been writing these down as topics to keep addressing in our group sessions. It's looking like the first pilot session is going to be in 2 weeks, on Thursday the 9th at Marble Bar, probably around the same time this was, 6 to 8. Probably around that time, but please do follow us on Instagram right now. We're at interspace_Detroit_, and more information is going to be posted. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for attending. We have another show coming up. I hope you guys can stay. We've got Andreas live, Vinny and Jesse. I really appreciate everyone's contribution to this. We're going to make something that's really awesome, I hope. And then we hope to have a follow-up conversation about safe spaces, okay? We can do this all together. It's going to be work. It's going to take time. It's going to be a process. But hopefully in the next couple of years, I'm not going to say this year, in the next couple of years, we're going to do something really great. Yeah, if you guys don't mind, we're going to start getting ready for the next event. But I really appreciate everybody. Happy New Year. Thank you so much.